I want to talk about a young guy, Ja Morant, in the NBA, who continues to get himself in trouble. Now, Ja is my middle son Paxton's favorite basketball player by far. We started watching Ja when he was in high school, watching his highlights. He has bounce like no one else in the league. He is a creative scorer, and he is so much fun. He is truly an artist on the field or on the field, on the court. But Ja has been getting himself in increasing amounts of trouble. Earlier this season, he had several controversial things that happened in a row. It all kind of culminated with him going on Instagram Live, brandishing a handgun, waving it around. And this is interesting for several reasons. One, because we do have a Second Amendment in the United States, and you're allowed to have a gun, and you are allowed to actually show your gun on Instagram. However, he also works for a private company, the National Basketball Association, and they have something to say about how you represent them and what you look like and how you show yourself and put whatever front you have out onto social media. And he is a role model for millions and millions of kids, including my own kid. Now, I will say this as a side note for parents out there: get your kids off social media. Um, Paxton is about to be 14. We don't do social media until 16, and usually we just start with one, and we're on it and they're on it, and we see everything they see and everything they DM, and we have trackers on it, and we use Bark, which is a great software. But you need to be aware because there are people influencing your kids in ways that you probably don't want them influenced. And um, so Ja is young, and he has a lot of money now, and he made some really, really poor decisions, and he got suspended for a little while, and he went and did, kind of like a counseling thing, and then he came back and had a pretty good playoff run, but they ended up getting beat in the playoffs. And so now they're out, and he's in the off season, and Ja is in trouble, which, people get in rhythms in life. They get in patterns, and trouble comes again. It's not just that he's in trouble, though. It's what he is in trouble for. If we look at outkick.com, we can see a little bit of here, just kind of typical, guys having fun, listening to music, riding in a very fancy car. And now they're doing kind of, throwing up some fake gun symbols. And all of a sudden, it happens really quickly. You may have missed it. But Ja once again brandishes a real gun. Here's a still of the picture. He takes a gun out, finger clearly off the trigger. Thank God. Points it up, kind of at his temple. Like this is apparently, some level of cool. Like this is a cool thing to do, I guess. And this is the kind of move you would see in rap videos, things like that. And this has kind of been the narrative around Ja Morant, is that he did not come up, as some hardcore gangster. He wasn't rich by any means, but this is kind of a somewhat famous photo that keeps showing up online, and it's just Ja taking a very beautiful family photo with his dad, who looks like Usher, which is kind of hilarious, and his sister, who is older now, who's absolutely a baller, and his mom. And people point at this, and this gets posted 1 bazillion times every single time Ja does something like this. Every time he goes out of his way to try to, put on like he is some kind of gangster, every time this starts floating around, circulating around. People play the last scene from 8 Mile, where they're in the rap battle, and the way that Eminem ends up winning, or B Rabbit, or whatever he is in there, is he just lets everyone know everything about him, and then he clowns the guy that he's battling, who actually, now that I think about it, I think is Falcon from Falcon and the Winter Soldier. I think that's the same actor. Anyway, regardless, he lets everyone know the guy's basically not really a thug. He went to Cranbrook. That's a private school, and he lives with his mom and his dad, and his life is good, and he's not from the same zip code as everyone else. So he doesn't have that gangster. And a lot of the stuff that Ja does on Instagram is say stuff like, test my gangster, see what I'm about, see if I really live that life. But there's evidence that he doesn't really live that life. And what's staggering is that he now has millions and millions of dollars. And he's one of the faces of the NBA. His signature shoe just came out, and people cannot figure out, like, why do you keep threatening to throw all of this away? Like, you could be that dude who is the face of the NBA. You're super young. You're only a few years in the league. You could do this, but not only are you making silly mistakes, you're repeating silly mistakes. And it's like, it's hard to do. You have to put in work to pull your gun out on Instagram. You know what is a lot easier than pulling a gun out on Instagram? Not pulling a gun out on Instagram. Keep it in your pocket, keep it in your waistband, keep it in your center console. Like you're like going out of your way to repeat the same mistakes. And why throw all this away? Why not calm down? Or why not be about that and be like that with your friends, but keep it offline? Why do you have to show this and try to prove something? I think Jaw would do well to read the entire book of Proverbs. It's the book of wisdom. Proverbs 29 says, "He who is often rebuked and hardens his neck will suddenly be destroyed, and that without remedy." That is a dire warning to someone who is in a position like John Morant. And he has been rebuked over and over again. He has been firmly admonished by guys in the league, by other professional athletes from the NFL, by guys who really try to live that life, by guys who have come up, really truly coming up in very difficult circumstances, surrounded by gang activity, begging him. I mean, there have been prominent professional athletes who have just begged him, like, please don't do this, man. Like, get good people around you, surround yourself with smart individuals, quit going online all the time, quit putting this stuff out there. You do not want this. Proverbs 12 says, "The way of a fool is right in his own eyes, but he who heeds wise counsel is wise." The way of a fool is always right in their own eyes, in their own mind, in their own heart. You harden your neck and you will be suddenly destroyed. This video came out just a couple days ago over the weekend, and he's already been suspended again. And the league is going to review it. And I'm sure he's not out of the league for good right now. But if he keeps this up and if he stays on this trajectory, then he will be destroyed without remedy. And man, such a waste, not just a waste of talent and not just a waste of a generational level of money where he could change things for himself and generation after generation after generation, but a platform and influence. I have a kid who wants to be like Ja. I have a kid who wants to play like Ja, who just like pays attention to every single thing that he does. And so, man, he's got a lot going for him. And here's a last proverb for John Morant as he's trying to figure out whether or not he wants to front as some kind of thug or whether or not he wants to be a responsible and respectable member of the National Basketball Association, a responsible role model for people who are paying attention to what he's doing, is as a dog returns to his own vomit, so a fool repeats his folly. It's very graphic, very graphic. It's basically saying if you just keep making the same mistakes over and over and over again, you have let go of your higher will and volition. Let go of your intellect. Let go of living like someone who has a mind, soul, and spirit. And you're now just back to the basic nature, back to the amygdala, back to the lizard brain, back to just acting like one of the animals, not like the higher species that bear the image of God. So I've been really hard on John Morant, but I want to say something in his defense before I move on to our last point. All of us do this. There is something driving John Morant to want to put on this front. There is something that is driving him to continue putting himself in the same situations. And, I try to be a little bit careful because he came back and said he's dealing with mental health stuff. And it's like, right. I mean, most people in our country are dealing with some level of mental health stuff, at minimum, so some low level anxiety. And I'm not Ja. I don't know what he's been through. I don't know what trauma he has in his past. What I do know is celebrities get in trouble these days, and mental health is kind of a get out of jail free card. I think there's a spiritual health problem here, and we're all living out of the pain of our stories. And so this is a guess. I don't know this. This is kind of some Monday morning quarterback armchair psychology here on the Clayton Tyner podcast. But I think it kills John Morant that this picture of him in a nice blue polo, family picture, dad in the chair, everyone surrounding him with arm. Beautiful picture. We take pictures like this. I'm not mad about this picture. I think this picture kills him. I think he's fighting an inner battle, and he's fighting it outwardly through his social media channels. I think he is trying to fix his image, but not into an image that is marketable and will bring him success, but an image fighting against an insecurity that is brought about by a disconnection from how he sees himself and the reality of who he is. And we all deal with that. As a dog returns to his own vomit, so a fool repeats his folly. And we all have pain in our life. And some of us, we manage and mitigate our pain by spending money that we don't actually have. And we just keep doing it, and the debt keeps piling up. But we're going to rent a new car 2 years from now, because we will not be caught dead in a car that is 3 years old because of our insecurities. And some of us, because of the pain in our past, we just keep jumping from relationship to relationship, and we ruin every relationship along the way because we get bored with it and we end up cheating on them, and we run to somebody else because we're dealing with some inner pain. And so we all have this, man. We all have this. We have control issues and performance issues and relational issues and money issues and weight issues and health issues. We have all these things. And all of us can be this, like a dog returning to our vomit, repeating the same mistakes over and over again, stiff necked, not allowing ourselves to be rebuked or corrected our way, always right in our own eyes. And so, man, I've been a little bit hard on Ja, but a lot of times I am Ja, and I'm repeating those same mistakes, and I'm getting caught in that doom loop where I'm trying to fix my insecurities by going to my worst ways, which lead to greater insecurities, which lead to more worst ways. And at the bottom of all of that, you have to get down to the core of that spiritual issue, and you have to address it and drag it into the light and wrestle it to the ground, be able to move on from it. We all need that. And I'm not John Morant, and so I'm not wrestling my demons and dealing with my pain in front of millions and billions of people. He is. And man, I wish the best for him, and I pray the best for him, because I don't want to see people fail. I want to see people succeed. And it doesn't bring me pleasure to see people fail. It brings me pain, and it should bring that for you as well.